Hello internet and welcome back to the Waifus. We have the Blanc review ready, so let's dive into this. We'll do two things. First, a condensed version so you don't have to watch the whole video if you don't want, and then the full review. Also important, this is a Blanc review. This is not a Blanc and Nor or them together, how breaking they're going to be. No, this is Blanc. A lot of people will not pull for both of them. They will only have enough resources or lack to get one. So this is Blanc's review. We'll mention obviously some mechanics that she will have with her sister, but this is just for her. Before we start, like always, two things. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also we have a couple of new things. Green screen now, and also I'm bald because it's starting to get hot in Spain, so I just remove all my hair. So let's start with the condensed version first, and let's go here to her kit. So first, the pros of Blanc. Where is she good? Well, first of all, huge damage taking debuff to the enemies. This is going to be super good. Obviously by herself it's on a long ass cooldown, but still it's good. She also gives indomitability to one unit, so she will make her immortal like Makima for 10 seconds. Pretty good stuff. She has decent healing between the skill number 2 and the burst, enough to keep your team alive depending on the content. Also, she's a bunny girl, that's a pro. And lastly, this meme right here, or here, I don't know what is this. Now let's move into the negatives and the cons of bunny girl Blanc. So first of all, and the most obvious one, she needs her sister to be a really good unit. By herself, it's not bad, but it's more of a mid unit than a good one. Second, and related to her sister once again, 60-second cooldown on the burst. If it was a 40-second, I think it would solve a lot of the problems, but this is more of my opinion. And then lastly, her last con is the shield has a low uptime, but there is a couple of ways of fixing this. We'll talk about that in a second on the full review, but it's not as good as Senti's because you cannot get it as often. Senti is around every 7-ish seconds. With Blanc, you will get it probably 10-15 seconds. Every 10-15 seconds, you will get the shield. That said, let's move into the full review. So Blanc is a shielder and healer that's competing for a really competitive spot on your team, the burst 2 spot. Usually, most people will only play with one burst 2, meaning she's really competing for like a super tough spot to get. Now, if you are going to play her without her sister, this is the review, you need to play with 2 burst 2 units. It can be a negative or a positive depending on the units that you currently have. Because obviously with the 60-second cooldown, you cannot play her by herself. So what you want to do, and the synergies that she will have, is with units that can also buff your team and provide extra damage. So for example, Dola, Rookie, Viper. I don't think there is a reason to play her with other shielders or defenders like Senti, Biscuit, Novel, or Sin. Because again, you will be just losing power, like having way too much defense when this game is more focused on the offensive side because we have a timer on the levels. In my opinion, the mechanic of playing her with her sister is bullshit for one reason. So if you play Nor by herself, the brownie sister, she is great. She's a great unit by herself even if she's not with Blanc. On the other hand, Blanc sucks without her sister because that 60-second cooldown is fucking you up. It's making you trying to find specific positions, min-maxing stuff that you should not have to worry about if you were just to play with any other B2 unit. That's my biggest concern with this unit. I hope they change the 60-second to 40 because it will be a good unit. With 40 seconds you can manage, depends on the composition you have, but it's fine playing with only one B2 on a 40-second cooldown, even if you will lose half a rotation every time. Now that said, let's move into her skills to talk a little bit more about them, starting with the shield. So the skill number 1 is a shield like Senti, but instead of being a fixed cooldown skill, is based on landing hits. After 120 hits, she will create a shield. The problem is she uses an assault rifle, meaning it's not going to be as good as Senti. It's not going to have as much uptime as that one. One way of solving this is by using obviously the resilience cube for the reload time. The faster she reloads, the sooner she can start shooting again and finishing her magazine. So that's one way of improving that, even though it's going to be like a super great help. Still, this is the best cube for her. If we talk about the skill number 2, it's a heal, which is a decent heal. Again, she can keep your team alive. I don't think she's as good as Rapunzel or some other heals, but she's pretty decent because she's filling 2 roles in one, right? Even we could say 3 roles, like defender, healer, and also debuffer. So pretty decent. And also she has the bullshit mechanic of reducing the cooldown if she's paired with her sister. Now let's talk about the burst skill because this is the most important one. Let's ignore the fact of the 60-second cooldown and just let's talk about burst skill. This is a really good burst skill. She will increase the healing provided by the skill number 2. So you will have 2 heals. You will have one when you do her burst skill showtime, and then when the burst ends, you will have the skill 2 healing. So you will have even a little bit more this is pretty good. Both heals paired together are quite decent and can keep your team alive during the whole fight if paired with some other units, for example Litter, to also recover or repair the covers. She will also affect the ally with the lowest HP, making them immortal like Makima, a really great ability to keep your team alive. And then lastly, affecting all enemies, she will increase the damage they take. It's honestly a really good burst skill, and I agree, if she was a 20-second without her sister, she would be completely broken. Like, she would be instantly almost top tier unit. So I'm not against her being like, again, a 40-second. I think a 60-second is just way too much. Now that said, something I also want to mention is if you are playing her with her sister and you only play with one B2, right? You play Blanc, Nor, and 2 more B3s. The moment Nor dies, she goes back to being a 60-second cooldown unit. You just fucked up your whole rotation, you cannot rotate, and you probably lost that level the moment Nor dies. I think that's going to be the biggest weakness if you were to pair both of them together and she were to die. So even with a shield that's worse than Senti, I think she's worth using. Even if you don't have Nor, I think she's worth using depending on the units you have and if you like her. Because most players are reaching a point where they have DPSs strong enough that they can, you know, have flex spots on B1 and B2. Now let's talk a little bit more about synergies and skill priority as well. So for skill priority, I will say if you are playing her without Nor, skill number 2 first, skill 1 after, and then the burst. If you are playing her with Nor, then burst skill, skill 2, and skill 1. I think the healing takes priority over the shield, because even if you level up the shield, it's not going to have a faster uptime. So focus first on the heals, then on the shield. And then with synergies, I think the biggest synergy you will find outside of her fucking sister is going to be Litter, because you are taking heals, shield, and also repairing the cover, so both of them together are going to be good, and then you can put whatever flex B2 you want in her. I prefer Rupee, but Dola will work too, Viper will work as well. You're picking there. For B3s, there is like no specific ones that are going to be super good for her. Both sisters are designed to be for bosses where there's a lot of red circles, so obviously Grave Digger and Shotgun teams, but she would work with almost any good DPS you have. It doesn't really matter. She's providing overall utility and heals to the team. So obviously Sugar Drake going to be a really good team. Obviously Isabel, if you have her. I don't have her on my secret though. And your usual girls, so Scarlet, Laplace, Prima, Timodernia, Maxwell, all of them will work. B3s is not like a priority or something you need to worry about. It's more of the B1 you're going to be using and the B2. Something to consider as well is for the burst 1 spot, I will not use another healer because it's redundant. I tried yesterday Blacksmith with Blanc and also with Pepper, and they have similar heals, so I don't think you need that much probability, even though it's nice having it. But I think Litter provides us way more utility overall. Using Dorothy for extra damage works as well, but that depends on the stage you're doing. If you are progressing campaign, you probably will not be able to use Dorothy, and you will need Litter or someone who can provide more utility. Now, all that said, after all this talk, that's a review for the Blanc Bunny Girl. I really like her. I think she's a decent unit. Paired with the sister, she's probably going to be nuts. We'll see when we get both of them. I will make a separate review for Nor, and then I will make a review for both of them together and see if it's worth really using them on the same team or not. Like always, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If anything that I've said, you know, you disagree or will change, also let me know, because I want to write the version for the website. The more accurate it is, the better for the players who are learning how to play, or the new players. So all that said, hope the video was useful, boys. If you want to support me, you have the links in the description down below. Good luck with your pools, and see you in the next one.